Well, hello again and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, really hardworking, super intelligent, iconic Disney song-loving wife and co-host, Michelle.
Hi, iconic?
Iconic.
Is that the topic this week?
Songs that scream Disney. It's whatever you want it to be because that's the Hyperion Adventures podcast way.
Well, thank you, sweetie. Hi, everybody.
So good to have you with us. We're recording this episode on Sunday, January 17th, 2021. Hope you all had a magnificent week. We've had a lot of fun this week. Well, Michelle's been crazy busy at work, so, please bear with her. She's a bit exhausted. No. I mean, it's crazy at work for you right now between COVID testing, COVID vaccinations. It's been pretty insane for you.
It's been a busy week. We're really trying to do our part into getting more people vaccinated and how we can get that going. And we've done a lot better this week and we have great plans for next week.
Trying to ramp it up, but it's been insane. But they're doing their best. They're doing their hardest work, and we're going to make through this. Also, we've been trying to do some travel planning for a trip coming up here next month that we're really excited about, to the Walt Disney World Resort. So Michelle's been working with a lot of that in her off time. So it's amazing she's been able to work on this podcast at all this week because she's been really busy. But we are glad that you are joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you will see that you could sign up for the newsletter.
Yes, please sign up for the newsletter, which is just another way to kind of be in the Hyperion Adventures podcast know. We put out topics that are upcoming, topics that we've done in the past, little kind of interesting information about what's going on in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world, our Disney Dishes blog recipe of the week. We did the Remy's Ratatouille this last week. This week, I did recreate the seared scallop with the chorizo and the red pepper coulis. That should be coming up, I believe, tomorrow. I'm going to try and write that up, so that should be out this week at some point. So it will be linked to on the newsletter, but it'll also be on the Disney Dishes blog as well.
Right. Well, a couple things. One, the dish was delicious. You did an amazing job, and it was beautiful to look at as well as yummy to eat. And in terms of the newsletter, it was our newsletter subscribers that actually came up with today's topic.
Yes. We'll get to that in a moment as well. But yes, thank you for those of you. I was going to put it out in a lot of different places, but the newsletter subscribers came through and gave us a lot of different suggestions, which we have put in our library on our calendar that a lot of those we are going to be eventually using, but we'll tell you what today's is in just a little bit and who that came from. Also, please follow us on social media. We got a lot of responses today on today's topic on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel. I didn't tie my hair back today, so you're going to get fully wild hair today. Although, even with my hair tied back last week, I had this little alfalfa thing going for the entire show last week. Is it there today?
I can't see it from this. Oh, wait. I don't know. That's just like a single hair. Oh, I just made it worse. Oh, great.
Thanks.
Sorry.
We'll straighten that out and it'll be all over our YouTube channel and you can't wait to see that. But anyway, I hate to make this about my hair every week, but it's driving me crazy, and my hair, every time I try and edit these videos, my hair is all over the place and it's hilarious.
Just promise me you don't go for like a military cut and just...
Oh man, it's getting close to
No.
I'm searching for Flobies out there online. Is there anywhere I can still get one of those? Because I need to do something with my hair. But again,
if anything, I can try to do some things, but I did my mom's hair one time and she made me promise never to come to her head with scissors again. It was not a pretty outcome. So.
I'm not concerned. It may come to that here pretty soon. But anyway, please find us on YouTube. You just need to do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. When we come up, hit subscribe and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right. We love hearing from you. And again, we loved getting some feedback this past week. It's just great. Another way to connect with people, and we really appreciate it. And Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And we also love reviews. Reviews help us in so many ways, mostly just to help us become a better podcast. And we did get a new review again this week, another 5-star review. Thank you very much. This one was a quick one. It's just titled Awesome Podcast.
Aww.
And they said, I really like this podcast. Very family friendly. Great, straight on Disney. And that was by Minnie Mouse 02. Whoever you are, Minnie Mouse 02, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yes. So also, we got some response from last week's topic. If you remember, at the end of last week's topic, all about the Taste of Epcot International Festival of the Arts. We said if you have anything else to say about it, hit us up and we will share it on an upcoming show. Well, we did get a response from Scott in Minnesota. He said, hey, Tom and Michelle, listening to this week's episode about the Epcot Festival of whatever, and it reminded me of a funny story from last year's festival. We went to Walt Disney World last year to enjoy our first year in our DVC home.
Ooh, welcome home.
Yes. We had no idea that the festival, I'm not even going to try, was going on. As we're making our way around Showcase Pavilion, just passing Japan, we heard a band doing a fantastic job playing Find Your Way Back by Jefferson Airplane. I turned to my wife and commented how great they sounded. As we came upon the stage in front of the American Pavilion, it was none other than Mickey Thomas from Jefferson Airplane / Jefferson Starship / Starship. Pick a name, guys. Jeez. I sat and listened to a few more songs when the girls went in to go see the American Adventure. Just one highlight of many on that particular trip. I love the show and listen every Monday. I can't wait until we can use some of Michelle's great tips. Scott in Minnesota. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Yeah. Love that story. Love hearing stories like that. It's so great. It makes our show richer getting that feedback. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we talked about it last week that, obviously this year's a little different, but a lot of years there are those concerts that take place out there. They're kind of cool. It's kind of like the fair feeling. If you go, I don't know if you have a county fair, that goes through your neck of the woods, wherever you are. But we know we have the San Diego County Fair here, and there's a lot of those bands that they're not going to fill the giant arenas anymore, but they did at one point, and now they're just kind of fun. And a lot of that happens also at the Epcot International Festival of the Arts. I need to take a deep breath to go through it.
Which this year has a slightly different name, but pretty reminiscent of that. But yes, love hearing stories. So please, anybody else want to share a story? We enjoy kind of living Disney love through all of you.
Right. That's part of our goal here is to share the Disney love and to get it from you guys and find out what you love. And that's why we always put it out for these topics, even when the episode is done, to get more responses, because we love hearing about what it is Disney-wise that you love.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, that was fun. I'm sorry. I was trying to come up with a word that wasn't exactly, because I say that all the time.
Absolutely.
Sure.
That's perfect. It's perfect. Let's get to this week's show. We have lots of stuff for you this week, including your chance to explore a couple of exotic destinations with Disney. That's interesting. And an Avenger may be getting set to return to the MCU. Ooh, I have a little news about that as well. By the way, WandaVision, we loved it, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, so intriguing. It's kind of like almost like a suspense feeling, but it's also hilarious and comical and cute. And just can't wait to really be able to finally understand kind of what's going on there. But it's really, the actors are great. The play off of everybody is wonderful. The setting is so funny, being, kind of 50s or 60s kind of look. And like you pointed out, even the size of the image on the screen is more of one of the square from TVs of the past.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just so funny. It's got so many great pieces in it. I think we caught some Easter eggs, and I'm sure there's some that we haven't picked up on. I'm hoping they eventually have similar to what Mandalorian had, where they would have some kind of a recap afterwards to kind of give some background of it as well. But even if not, it's just, it is amazing. It's like I said, it's it's really intriguing.
I think well, it's been a long time since we've had any new Marvel in Disney or anywhere. So it's great that we're getting this, and I have a feeling that a lot of what we're going to see come from this in WandaVision is going to build onto what the next phase of Marvel is going to be, post Avengers Endgame and everything else. So this is going to be the year of Marvel on Disney Plus, and hopefully out in the theaters as well, but for sure on Disney Plus. And so I'm looking forward to seeing where they come from that. Looking at WandaVision, I think it's interesting that we posted a tweet about this. It was funny, nostalgic, and a little bit heartbreaking at times, very mysterious as to what everything is going to build to and why they're in this world. It's really interesting. And if you know a little bit about what's happened in the Marvel universe to this point, there's some things that are, obviously it's strange, it's weird, but there's some things that are out of place here. And, and one of the things I was thinking about this the other day and compared it to, and there's another series from the 90s that we love very much and we'll go back and rewatch occasionally, and that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not Disney, but still a great series. And there is an episode in Buffy the Vampire Slayer where this is kind of Twilight Zone. WandaVision kind of reminds me of Twilight Zone in some ways. And this one's kind of Twilight Zone too. And it was, Buffy was like, okay, she lives in this world. She, kills vampires, fights demons and everything. But then suddenly she is, gets blasted by the trio, and she ends up having this flashback where she's in a mental asylum, and her mom and dad, they're like, you've been in here, you're creating these fabrications, these illusions within your own mind to kind of answer to some problems that you've had. And so they were like, and it kind of left you questioning what is real. I mean, and that's kind of what I think WandaVision kind of is. Right.
I mean, I think even in the trailer, they showed where Wanda was even questioning, why is Vision here even? And so it's something that as you're watching it, it's in the back of your mind. It's like, when are we going to find out some of the whys of this? But just some things that happen every once in a while, and going back and watching it, a second time or a third time, really, it's like, wow, I really want to know more.
And I think it's going to be a slow burn. You're going to get to know little bits and pieces. It's a mystery. They want you to try and kind of figure it out as you go along. And I'm looking forward to going on the entire ride. I've bought in completely. I believe you have as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Really enjoying it and can't wait to see where it goes.
I mean, they're doing a great job of character development of some of the other characters that are within this universe or this sitcom, and so you're getting to see and understand a little bit about them. Like I said, every once in a while, there's something that goes a little awry that you're like, what does that mean?
Something that must, I think that means something.
Right. And so I think this is going to be one of those, kind of like Mandalorian, after you watch the whole series, kind of going back to the beginning and knowing what you know at the end really makes the beginning even a little bit more interesting.
So anyway, sorry to spin us off on that tangent, but we loved WandaVision. I wanted to be sure we talked about it before we got too much more into the episode. But let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get to our main topic of the week. So as we mentioned last week, we had a wide open space this week because we were supposed to have been just back from a trip to Walt Disney World, but we canceled that trip, delayed it, postponed it, whatever you want to call it. And so we had this gap in our schedule, and we haven't done a music episode in a couple months and a 5 favorite list. So we wanted to put it out there to some of our listeners as to what it would be. And we received fantastic responses, several that we really considered and definitely will be doing in the future. Thank you to everybody who chimed in with some wonderful responses. What we finally settled on came from a person you already heard from a little bit earlier, Scott in Minnesota, who gave us the topic of the 5 favorite iconic Disney songs, aka songs that just scream Disney to you. So,
well, the reason we're laughing is maybe I only partially listened to you. I heard the songs that scream
I
Disney.
do talk a lot. I do talk a lot, so I understand it.
That's the part at least that's stuck in my brain. Songs that scream Disney, and so I don't know if my songs necessarily fit the mold of iconic as much as songs that when I hear them, I think, oh, that's Disney.
Well, I mean, it was up for interpretation. Iconic Disney songs that scream Disney. That's why whenever I send it out to anybody, when I put it out on social media, I said both things. In most of our topics, they're up for interpretation. There could be songs like, Disney songs that make you cry. It could be songs that most people laugh through or, right. But it may make you actually cry,
right,
I mean, and so it's just different for everybody. What's inspirational song to you? What's your favorite love song? Well, you can read into what's your dance party song.
Right.
You can read into them and play them out however you want. And I think this is really kind of up for that. It's what's iconic, what makes screams Disney to you. It could be different across the board. And I think we're going to see, because we got a lot of responses, that it's kind of going to be that way today.
Sure. So hopefully I'm not too off topic.
You're great. It's going to be great. I have no doubt that Michelle's list will be the very best list, because it always is the very best list. So let's get right to it. Our 5 favorite iconic Disney songs / songs that scream Disney to you. And let's start with Michelle's awesome, amazing, always the best list. Michelle, what's your number 5?
All right. So again, giving a bit of history with approaching this list, originally when I even thinking songs that scream Disney or whatever, my mind was kind of going, only historical, like early or origin kind of songs. And then I thought, I hope I'm not, just going to stick to that pathway. So fortunately, as I was making my list, I did some, adaptions of different songs from time to time. But I was glad to see that it wasn't all just very, the first decade of
classic
Disney songs. Yeah, so
kind of on the map. So that's good. Mine kind of that way too, I think, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
So my number 5 is "You've Got a Friend in Me."
Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, big and stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy, and as the years go by, a friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
So yeah, it's funny when this movie first came out. I think just the novelty of some of the imagery, the type of animation it was, it was more of a visual capture for my attention, that the song really wasn't something that resonated with me. But over time, I've really learned to love it. I love the simplicity of talking about the love of friendship, and that friendship means being there when somebody, needs you, but also in celebrating successes together. So I just thought, yes, this screams Disney. It talks of that friendship and that love and the camaraderie, and I just think of us, and you are my best friend. And, I when I hear this song, I think of you. Yeah. So.
Well, okay, you were concerned about your list. This song is also on my list.
Wow.
I have it higher than you do. I have it at number 4 for me.
Okay.
For all the same reasons you just brought up. It is the Pixar song. Pixar, they're not musicals. There are some songs that some movies, maybe Coco, it's kind of a different type of musical. It has more music in it than most of them, but most of them just have a song or two. They're not musicals. They do have a score that's a lot of times a really great score, but they don't have a lot of songs. But this is the Pixar song. Again, like you said, simple, but it's beautiful, all about friendship through thick and thin.
Right.
And that's why it's on my list as well. That was my number 4. So
very cool.
You were concerned about your list,
yes,
but we're already in sync on this one.
Wow.
So,
all right. So what's your number 5 then?
My number 5. Well, as we all know,
My power flurries through the
shocked. I'm shocked that made your list.
Hashtag Real Man Love Frozen. Yes, Let It Go. To me, shouts out, from Frozen, of course, shouts out modern Disney.
Right.
It shouts Disney to me, modern Disney to me. It's an anthem for young girls or young ladies, young women, or those who are young ladies at heart like me.
Or just people who are struggling with identity sometimes, you know.
I think it's inspirational. It's a wonderful song. It's so well sung by Idina Menzel. It's got, and it is I mean, I know it got overplayed and some people got tired of it and whatever else, but it is the Disney anthem of the 2010s.
Right.
You know, I mean, it is an amazing song, and I personally can't get enough of it, but, as you may have noticed. But I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah, totally recognize it as meeting this topic for sure. You know, I knew I didn't need to put it on my list because I knew it would be on your list. It's like, it would be more difficult to find out what list we would do that didn't have a Frozen song on it.
Good point.
But anyways, I totally agree with you. You know, it just didn't make on my favorite list, but it definitely is in my honorable mentions, and it's a great song for sure.
Thank you. So that's my number 5. Let's get to, we already heard my number 4. Let's get to Michelle's number 4 favorite iconic song, iconic Disney song / songs that just scream Disney.
See, we're trying to make our show title be kind of like these festivals.
Yeah, it's true. Which I'll never get right. So we'll just do our best.
So I actually have a 4A and B. One is more
Hyperion Adventures podcast tradition.
Know. One is more, I guess, would fall under the iconic, and the other one is a little bit more modern. So my 4A would be "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes" from Cinderella.
Have faith in your dreams, and someday your rainbow will come smiling through. No matter how your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true.
When you think of it, the main character really had the odds against her, and she didn't try to kill anybody, so that's good, you know. But you know, just more the issue of, you know, holding on to hope, being true to yourself, being, you know, looking at things in a way that isn't going to defeat you, and so I felt like that kind of a concept to me screams Disney. When you think of Walt creating Disneyland and the concept of coming to that, or even doing a full animated feature movie when that was never something out there, the odds weren't in his favor. And yet he stayed true to his ideals, what his vision was, and, you know, and it prevailed. And so I feel kind of the parallel with this song to that. And then on a more,
let me just say that's a terrific choice. It was on my list for a little bit, and then I my list had like several different songs jump on and off my list. That was one that was on there and definitely was in my honorable mentions.
Right. Yeah, it was tough, obviously, kind of getting down to 5 for sure. So we didn't.
Surprise.
I know. And 4A is "Life's a Happy Song."
When there's someone by your side to sing,
life's a happy song.
When there's someone by your side to sing,
life's a happy song. When there's someone by your side to sing along.
You know, it's just an easy, catchy tune, one that's, again, sends a positive message that, just keep looking on the bright side of things. And, isn't that the point of what the Disney company is be happy, do something, that at least for a particular amount of time brings you joy. And I feel like that song kind of captured that and screams Disney to me.
I love that movie and I love that song. # Save the Muppets, by the way,
Yes.
which, by the way, there was an interesting post on social media. The Muppets, they're getting ready to, they said they got an announcement coming. I don't know what it's going to be, if something happening, but I'm intrigued. So, anyway. But yeah, great song. I love that movie very much. It's just one that I could just put whenever it's on. I can just sit and it doesn't matter what part of the film it is. I just sit back and enjoy it.
Exactly. So
great.
You're
so
right.
those are your 4s.
Right.
Michelle's number 4s. My number 4 we already talked about. It's You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. So let's go back to Michelle for her number 3.
So my number 3 is Imagination from Journey into Imagination Attraction, the original.
Come on, everybody, let's
We
go!
all have sparks, imagination. That's how our minds create creations. Right at the start of everything that's new, one little spark lights up for you.
Oh, boy!
Imagination, imagination. A dream can be a dream come true with just that spark in me and you.
And I just, again, kind of going back to the concepts of Walt is, using your imagination that's going to be sparked from all kinds of different things and, enjoy life, enjoy things and, continue to be creative and continue to tap in on what inspires you and what makes you feel good. And to me, that screams Disney.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to ride the original version of that attraction. But I love the song.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I love the song, but that's why it probably didn't make my list is because I never really got to fully experience it like you did. Yeah. So, but it definitely is deserved. So it's a great choice.
Thank you. So now we're to your number 3.
My number 3 is also an attraction song. And it's actually an attraction that I think both of us, we're not like huge fans of. We enjoy it. It's fine. We're huge fans of. But just like walking through the parks or if it just pops on whatever, streaming service we're listening to music or whatever with, it always strikes us and it always hits Disney to me. And that is the theme from Fantasmic.
Some imagination, huh?
It's just one of those songs that makes me, every time I hear it, I am instantly transported to the parks. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. I'm instantly, and when the dun dun dun, I'm always putting, I gotta put gotta put the hands up in the air, firing along with it. It just, and it's all about imagination and inspiration, and it shouts Disney to me. It screams Disney to me.
Totally. I mean, that makes sense. It has all the characters. It involves classic characters, newer characters. We've really liked the newer version, that the reimagined version that Disneyland came out with a couple years ago. In bringing some updated characters to that as well, and updated. Some of the special effects too. But you're right. That song, just the way it sounds, it does transport you. Yeah, and that's why it reached my number 3. I actually had it lower, and then the more I thought about it, the more I listened to it, I'm like, I got to move it up higher because it just really strikes me as something that just feels Disney to me whenever it happens. So that's my number 3. Let's get to Michelle's number 2 favorite iconic Disney song that just screams Disney. Okay, so again, I have 2 songs.
I actually have a real 5 this time, so Michelle is making up for it
I know.
in the High Period Adventures tradition.
Right. It was kind of funny. I was reflecting back at the last few lists we've done, and I've been very much on target with just 5. And this one, I think it's the old and the new conflict that I was having, that I wanted to make sure and bring in some new ones, because I do think there's a lot of great newer songs that scream Disney, or are iconic in their concepts and stuff. So again, for kind of similar topics, I guess, but the 2A I would put as Spoonful of Sugar from Mary Poppins.
For a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, the medicine go down, medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down in a most delightful way.
And 2B is I've Got a Dream from Tangled.
He's got a dream, he's got a dream, they've got a dream, we've got a dream. So what differences ain't really that extreme. We're loving tea.
Call us brutal,
Sadistic.
and grotesquely optimistic.
Cause way down deep inside we've got a dream.
I've got a dream.
I've got a dream.
I've got a dream.
I've got a dream.
Yes, way down deep inside I've got a dream.
I think both of them kind of share some similarities to it, but Spoonful of Sugar, again, just a
Classic Mary Poppins.
It's all how you look at things. It's something may seem like drudgery or work, but you can certainly turn it around and get some enjoyment out of it.
Make it a game.
Make it a game.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I feel like that's just something we always, whether it's Mary Poppins or that song, to me, it's something that everybody thinks of Disney when they hear that. And then Entangled, I've Got a Dream, and kind of going with some of the, the other topics I was talking about is, realizing that, there's something in your gut or something in your heart, the passion that, that's there that drives you to transform yourself and to seek out, even through odds that might not seem insurmountable, and that you just try to go for them. And I think that, again, is a message that comes through in a lot of the Disney movies and a lot of, things related to Disney.
Yeah. They're both great songs. Love them both, and both deserve it to be on this list for sure. So
thank you.
Great choices, Michelle. Michelle's number 2s. Number 2s. Awesome.
And what about you?
My number 2 is also from Mary Poppins, but it's a different Mary Poppins song, and it's a song that shouts Disney to me whenever I hear it, and that is...
So when the cat has got your tongue, there's no need for dismay. Just summon up this word and then you've got a lot to say. But better use it carefully or it could change your life.
For example?
Yes?
One night I said it to me girl, and now me girl's me wife. Oh. And a lovely thing she is, too. She's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. 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 Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I mean, they made up a word. It's its own word.
Right.
And so now whenever you hear that word, you're thinking Mary Poppins.
That's
so
true.
you're thinking Disney. So that's why it screams Disney to me, for at least in part.
Right.
It's the Sherman Brothers, who just like Spoonful of
Yes.
Sugar and some other, what a great job they've done on so many
Right.
wonderful songs as well. It's just a total fun song. It's just fully Disney to me. And it's Mary Poppins.
Right,
I mean,
right,
come on.
right.
Mary Poppins, it's the ultimate Disney live action film.
Exactly. And yeah, I totally agree. That is a great consideration. There was several Mary Poppins songs that actually popped into my head.
There were several that were on this list, and I
Right.
just narrowed it down to, I'm just going to keep one Mary Poppins song. on
Right,
there.
exactly, right. So, but yeah, you're right. That's a great song. Definitely, when you hear that, your brain hits Disney.
Right. So that's my number 2. And I think we're going to be completely in sync with this one, which and it's going to be a song that I almost just excluded from this because I have a feeling it's going to be so widespread as everybody's number one Disney song. Michelle, but what is it? Tell everybody what it is.
When You Wish Upon a Star.
Like a moon out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
Right. I mean, yeah, iconic, definitely. And I'm not surprised that it made it on your list as well. You know, who doesn't like the idea of wishing on a star? And, sometimes when you find yourself just looking out a window or going for a walk at night and seeing a star, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just weird, but I do. Oh, that's the first star I'm seeing. So,
Right.
it totally hits the Disney heart.
It's Disney's official / unofficial theme song.
True.
I mean, so it has to shout Disney to you. It has to scream Disney to you. It's definitely iconic. There's a reason why you hear it virtually everywhere you go in the park during every big moment is because it is such an amazing song, and it is all about Disney wishing upon a star, wanting your dreams to come true.
Right.
It's spectacular. Of course, from Pinocchio originally, but it played in so many different ways or so many different things. It is just it's Disney.
Right. Exactly. And it like you said, it's something that you just you hear and you can't help but think of Disney.
Yeah. So like I said, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I should have excluded this one from it and just said like, look, that's obviously going to be everyone's number one. But I don't think it's necessarily true, but I think mostly it was going to be on most people's lists because it is so iconic. It is so classic and everything. But I just went ahead and went with it anyway. So because it deserves to be number one by far and away. It's like, it's hands down. It's not even close. The other songs are great. Love them all. When You Wish Upon a Star, hands down the most iconic / song that screams Disney to you.
Yes. Couldn't agree more.
So we also got some great listener suggestions out there. I'm going to start with Scott in Minnesota, who actually is the one who sent us this topic. So
Scott.
Thank you, Scott. And here's what his top 5 list, he says, would be. Number 5, Beauty and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, of course. Let It Go. # Real Men Love Frozen. Yes, I agree with you, Scott. Thank you. You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. Whistle While You Work from Snow White. Great one. Perfect choice. And of course, number 1, When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. We also got one from Tony the Disney Dad, who on Twitter, you can find him at Disney_discuss. And he said, my top 5-ish iconic Disney songs, When You Wish Upon a Star. This is one that really could have been on my list as well, and it was for a short time.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a dream away. Man has a dream, and that's the start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. When it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and me. So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.
So obviously there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow from the Carousel of Progress. That definitely screams Disney. Definitely deserves to be on lists out there. And it was on mine for a short time, but got bumped off. So
I have to say, looking at Tony's list, that is maybe in different order, my identical first list.
Yeah. It's a great list for sure. Let's go through the rest of it. Hi Ho from Snow White. The Bare Necessities,
Right.
another great one from the Jungle Book, and A Whole New World from Aladdin. He also had a couple honorable mentions as
Right.
well. The Steamboat Willie whistling,
Right.
which is, that's why there's a reason why they start many of
Sure.
the films, the Walt Disney animation films with it. It's 'cause
Right.
that is classic. And Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins, another one that was on my list for a short time, then got bumped off.
Right.
But it is just a magnificent Disney song. Let's go ahead and we got some more. Michelle, why don't you go
Sure.
through a couple more?
So Monday Morning Monorail podcast people
People.
people that you can find on Twitter at Morning Monorail, they said, how to narrow down to 5? Great question. So they said,
Never easy.
no particular order. Hi ho, When You Wish Upon a Star, You Can Fly from Peter Pan, again, great song. The Bare Necessities, and Be Our Guest.
Such a great song.
I know. That's awesome. Great list. Jonathan also sent us an email, and I love his approach to this. He says, I'm going to go with picks that seem to transcend the movies and leaving a lasting mark on culture and for the Disney company.
Great.
Yeah. So number 5, Bippity Boppity Boo. Mm-hmm. Great.
From Cinderella.
Right. And ends up being a boutique now.
Yeah. Bippity boppity boo.
Right. Number 4, Let It Go.
Hashtag Real Man Love Frozen.
Right. Number 3, Hi Ho.
Uh-huh.
Number 2, Tale as Old as Time. He put, I had to arbitrarily pick an Alan Menken song, but he and Howard brought in a whole new generation of Disney fans.
For
So
sure.
that
No
is
question
true.
about that, yeah.
And again, When You Wish Upon a Star, he said, this song especially is so much bigger than the movie Pinocchio and feels, getting...
A little bit clamped.
Yes, and feels a little like a theme for Disney parks.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah. So you want to go through a couple more?
Yeah. So the Disney Assembled podcast, hit us up. You can find them on Twitter at Disney Assembled. And they have There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow from the Carousel of Progress. I've Got a Dream, just like Michelle. I Want to Be Like You from the Jungle Book. Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty.
Nice.
Another great song. And Colors of the Wind from Pocahontas.
Right.
Great
Yeah.
list.
That is a great
I love
list.
it.
Yep.
Jacqueline also hit us up on Twitter. You can find her at Pixie Dust PhD. She said, this is very hard because songs that shout Disney to me generally aren't my favorites. Oh, the anguish. Songs that are very Disney but are not my favorite Disney songs are Hi Ho, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes,
Right.
Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
How about this one from The Little Mermaid?
I'm ready to know what the people know. Ask them my questions and get some answers. What's a fire and why does it? What's the word? Burn. When's it my turn? Wouldn't I love to explore that shore up above? Out of the sea. Wish I could be part of that
Definitely an iconic Disney
Definitely,
song.
yes.
Howard Ashman and Alan Menken at their best,
Right.
spawning the Disney Renaissance. Definitely, and another one that screams Disney.
Right,
to me. And
right.
I could have been on my list for sure. I would think
Yeah.
you would probably say the same
Definitely.
thing.
It definitely was consideration. It made it to honorable mentions. And, it did bring, kind of reinvigorated the Disney animation department and what they put forth after that. Like you said, it was Howard Ashman and Alan Menken's ideal song, not just in the quality of the song, but the emphasis of how they had the song sang.
Right.
You know, it was meticulous detail of making sure every line had the emotion that it needed to, and when it was to pull back or soften, it had that too. It was like a choreographed song.
And so interesting that it nearly didn't make it into the film. Like they wanted to scratch it out, but they Howard and Alan fought for it and made sure that it got in. The producers made sure that it got in there. So Jacqueline went on to say also Second Star to the Right and When You Wish Upon a Star. So I think we got some more, Michelle.
Yeah. So first of all, we have Frank Cardillo from Dillo's Diz. He has his list, and I think he's deferred to Jen to give an official Dillo Diz list. But here's Frank's list.
Which Jen I'm sure loves because she loves to make decisions.
Right?
So, yeah.
And she's good at it.
Yes.
Come on. Yes. Let somebody shine with their talent.
Yeah.
So Frank puts in his list, When You Wish Upon a Star, You Can Fly.
From Peter Pan.
All in the Golden Afternoon, which is also a really great one. I hadn't thought of that one, but I love that choice. Yeah. Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh is great. I love Winnie the Pooh. I mean, that does shout Disney. When you hear Winnie the Pooh. It's,
right.
I mean, I know Winnie the Pooh had a life before Disney, agreed with A.O. Milne to create, but the song itself, Sherman Brothers again, Winnie the Pooh. It shouts Disney for sure.
That's right. Once Upon a Dream. And walks away before he seconds guesses him for some more. Smart. Mic drop.
At some point, you do need to do that because otherwise, your list will just keep shuffling on constantly.
Right. So then Jen, from the other half of Dillo's Diz, did produce a Dillo's Diz list, and she said, "What? Oh no. Okay." Everything Frank said, plus Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, Part of Your World, I Want to Be Like You, Tale as Old as Time. And she put, can I say wishes? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Just like we did Phantasmic. And I mean, it's part of, if you hear tell me you don't hear the wishes, the song from Wishes and don't think about being in the parks, sitting there by Cinderella Castle watching the fireworks.
Right. It's kind of like what you were saying about Phantasmic. So definitely transforms you there. So we agree with you, Jen. It is painfully difficult to narrow down a list.
For sure. For sure.
So you have a couple others?
Yeah. So Janelle hit us up on Twitter. You can find her at Janelle3480. And she said, great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Another fireworks spectacular. Can Happily Ever After count? Yes, absolutely. That was nearly on my list because we have, I mean, I know Wishes is more classic and nostalgic for a lot of people, but we have some great memories with Happily Ever After, doing the dessert party within the first few weeks it debuted, getting to see them, Jordan Fisher and Angie, why can't I think of her last name at this moment, but the actual singers of the song come out and perform it on stage for us. They're filming it for something, at the same time. So it and then going up to seeing it multiple times within the parks, but also going up to the top of the world lounge and watching the fireworks from up there and everything. It just it's entrenched in our memories now with so many great trips we've been on. So
true. Yeah.
It shouts Disney to us as well.
Definitely does. Like you said, anything that has a story to it, right? And we did have the special initial introduction to that song.
Yeah. So Janelle went on to say, Tale as Old as Time, Part of Your World, and also Friend Like Me. She said, I know all the words because in middle school, we convinced our choir teacher to throw out his old boring music and let us sing all the songs from Aladdin instead.
Sweet.
Love that. Yes. So Jeff B hit us up on Twitter. You can find him at Schmelty. He said, One Little Spark, Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. Yeah. When You Wish Upon a Star, Zippity Doo Dah.
Yes.
It's a Small World After All, which I was a little surprised was not on Michelle's list.
It was definitely on as an honorable mention for sure.
It says also went on to say Love Hawaiian Roller Coaster. Yes. The Tiki 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 Tiki
was also
Room.
On my. It was like, do I put it on my list? It was like back and forth, and I went with imagination.
Here's an interesting attraction parade one that shouts Disney to me. So yeah, of course,
Right.
the theme from the Main Street Electrical
Yes.
Parade. I
Great
mean,
choice.
come on, that is Disney. I mean, where else are you going to hear that theme?
Right.
And it's been for so long, off and on. So many people have had the chance, whether it be at the Walt Disney World Resort or the Disneyland Resort, to experience it. When you hear it, it just puts a smile on your face, and you think Disney.
Right. Totally agree with that. Great choice. And that's why it's always such a popular thing when it does come back. Like even the ads that they produce to announce it are just adorable and, love it. So great choice to
Yep.
put on the list.
Yep. He had a couple more, or one more anyway. He also agreed with me with supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Right.
You've got some more. We had a lot of
Yeah,
listener
we had.
input.
This is great.
You got a few more there, Michelle.
Yeah. So Adam, who you can find at Twitter at the Mouse and More, said, "Be our guest. You can fly." I love this one. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
For sure. That's a great
Arr.
one. Yes. Arr.
And in the tiki room. And there's a great big beautiful tomorrow.
Very good. Great list.
Right. And Sarah D, that you can find on Twitter at Barry_Buzz. She agreed with you. The Phantasmic theme. When can I see you again?
Which, obviously it's from Wreck-It Ralph, but I think of it more with the Paint the Night Parade. For
Right.
those of you who haven't, I know that's not been to the Walt Disney World Resort yet, but it's been at the Disneyland Resort, so if you've had a chance to see it, that is the Main Street Electrical Parade song for the Paint the Night Parade.
Right.
When
It's like
Can I See You Again?
updated.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Great song. A dream is a wish your heart makes. When you wish upon a star, and in the tiki room.
Tiki room.
Yes.
I really wish I had a tiki rum.
I know. It's so
right
funny you
now.
said that, because when I was reading it before, I was thinking that. I was like, oh, missed that.
Missing Trader Sam's right about now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you want me to do one more?
Let's do one more.
Okay. Abigail, who connected with us, and she's also on Twitter at Abigail Bork. She put Lavender Blue, so dear to my heart.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
Yeah. Creative. I like that. We like that. Hi Ho, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Circle of Life from Lion King.
Which almost made my list as well. It was on my list for a while.
Yeah, definitely is iconic and shouts Disney. Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins, and that was also one that I was debating from the Mary Poppins movie to include. And When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio.
Right. Great. So just a couple more from Pat and Charles from the Conversations podcast.
Yeah.
Also hit us up. By the way, if you're not checking out the Conversations podcast, you're missing out on some highly entertaining yet informational, informative Star Wars talk. Pat and Charles, they're great guys. They do a great show. Definitely go check them out if you enjoy listening to Star Wars, or if you just enjoy a good laugh, because their show is fantastic.
Right. They do creative approaches. I think there's some similarities in a lot of the podcasts for Star Wars, which is great, and we love that. They bring some different aspects of how to really but look at the different components of Star Wars, and I love that creativity.
Yeah. They just did an excellent episode on Hondo, who obviously is from Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, but also you experience when you're out at Galaxy's Edge, right there at Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. So very Disney tied in with that. So definitely check it out. So each of them had a list. From Pat, they had Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King, Whistle While You Work from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Here's one that almost made my list again. Another one, the theme from the Mickey Mouse Club, MICKEYMOUSE.
We're both wearing our Mickey.
That's true, we are, and yet we didn't put it on our list. It was on my honorable mentions, but didn't make my list. You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story, and Jolly Holiday from Mary Poppins. Again,
another one.
So many songs from Mary Poppins could have been there. Charles had the 1980s Wonderful World of Disney TV show theme song. I love that. Yeah, definitely. The Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia.
Perfect.
Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid, another great choice. I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. And again, the Steamboat Willie whistling theme song. And they also both wanted to chime in. They at the end, Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. So thanks, guys.
Jolly
I really
good
appreciate it.
list.
Yes. So I think we hit almost every song, but maybe there's a couple honorable. Do you have any honorable mentions that weren't hit so far?
let me see. Go back to my honorable mentions. I did have Eye to Eye.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. From a Goofy movie.
From a Goofy movie, and Someday My Prince Will Come.
Yeah, from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Right.
Those are great. I'm trying to see if I have anything on mine. I think pretty much. Oh, the DuckTales theme. I just love the DuckTales theme, especially the more modern version of it. It's on my running list of songs because it's just so energetic and so great that that's on there. And I already mentioned Happily Ever After for being so great. So
I could have put a lot of Phineas and Ferb songs
on,
but I felt like, no, I better not.
It's true. You could have. But great list, everybody. Great job. And if you didn't chime in yet with your list, we'd still love to hear it. Send it to us and we'll share it on an upcoming show. And that is our 5 favorite iconic Disney songs / songs that just shout Disney. So great list, as I already said, everybody loved it. Love our music topics. They're always a lot of fun, and everybody is so diverse and interesting choices. And Michelle's lists are always the very best lists.
You're so kind. Now, you had a great list, and there were songs for sure that could have made my list as well. But
so see, now in hindsight, you're looking at your list as compared to my list and everybody else's list. Was your list all that far off?
I guess not.
Okay, then. That's what I want to hear. So Michelle's list, always the best list. Let's get to the Disney stories of the week. I do have a few for you this week. And I'm going to start with something that was, it was sort of sad this week, but understandable. And I think we need to talk about it just a little bit here before we go on. And that is the fact that Disneyland announced their ending or sunsetting, as they put it, their annual pass program. So this could be seen as a negative, and we always seem to be the positive show, but I'm going to put a little positive spin on this. And that's why I want to bring it up here. And I also think it's important because, most people know that we live in Southern California. Right. We are Disneyland annual pass holders. This affects us directly. Right. So I think people may want to hear what we had to say about this. So anyway, this was announced on Thursday, January 14th. What I would say about it, and I want to hear Michelle's take on this as well. We've discussed it a little bit. This is one of the few things, Disney stories, we've talked a little bit about off the air. It's disappointing, but it is completely understandable. I think you'd agree with that, Michelle.
Definitely. And we've mentioned it in past episodes that here in Southern California, the majority of people at the parks on any given day is driven by annual pass holders, way more than what you would see in Florida. Florida is like a vacation destination. People and families go there for that and may not have an annual pass. But here in Southern California, it is so heavily annual pass driven. And it really does drive a lot of crowds to the parks. And there's been, all types of attempts, even before a pandemic, and just looking at maintaining a great experience for people to not be in a park that was overly crowded, that they've tried to put into place some things. So it makes sense that you throw in the issue of a pandemic and the need to keep the crowds to a safe amount to be able to allow for appropriate social distancing. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Hard as it may be, it makes sense.
We've been thinking about it for months now. Not if, but when Disneyland finally reopens, how are they going to handle this? Because it's going to be very difficult. Now, if you don't live near the Disneyland Resort, never been here, don't know the area really well, you only really know the Walt Disney World Resort or whatever, just know they are completely different animals as far as, a Walt Disney World Resort is mostly tourist run. I mean, it is travelers, it is visitors. Yes, there are locals, there are plenty of locals, there are annual pass holders nearby, but Disneyland is driven by annual pass holders. There are more than 20 million people who live within a 2-hour drive of Disneyland. And we're not even talking about going, up to San Francisco, going out to Las Vegas and Nevada, going out to Phoenix, and those are within, 6, 7, 8 hours. They can get down fairly reasonably, an hour flight, really simple to get there. And there are hundreds of thousands and maybe even more of that than annual pass holders. I don't really have a number for that, but there are. So when they have to try and open this up, for park reservations with limited capacity, it was going to be a logistical nightmare to try and get reservations. So they had to do something about that. And it could have been, okay, well, now your annual pass is you're going to have so many blackout dates. That really wouldn't be worth the price you paid for it. Sure. So they had to kind of wipe it out, start fresh, and work towards something new. And that's what it seems like at least they're going to do for now. They mentioned something about a membership offerings, quote unquote, of, something that maybe, I kind of expect this is going to be some sort of tiered plan that maybe the higher you pay, maybe there's some more dates that are available for you to get reservations, but who knows what that is. But it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, but it just, something had to be done because it's just such a different beast than opening up with the Walt Disney World Resort.
Right. Interestingly, before the pandemic, Disneyland did have a type of annual pass that you actually use the reservation system, Flex Pass, which, our son had that. And so, there were certain dates that would be blocked off, and then some dates, certain parks. But they had that foundation already. And I'm again talking before the pandemic, they were seeing a need to try to control people getting into the parks to have it be so overcrowded that they couldn't guarantee great experiences for everybody.
Yeah, before it was always the balance of, trying to have enough people, and people who will want to go to the park, have it be a price that you can reasonably enjoy and you don't feel like you're just paying so much ridiculous amount of money, which it still can seem that way. Yet also when you go, that the park experience is an enjoyable one. You're not waiting for 2 hours for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, but I don't want to wait 2 hours for it. So they always tried to find that balancing point. Now you throw in the pandemic, the limited capacity and everything that's going to happen eventually when they do get to reopen. It's a whole different ball of wax. So something that had to be done. It's like I said, it's disappointing, but we understand it, and we'll see where we go moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
So a couple more Disney stories of the week that I want to get to. One is that if you have some exotic destinations on your bucket list, well, Disney has added a couple of interesting trips that you may like to check out. I know that these are a couple places that I would love for us to hit at some point, and it might be interesting to do them with Disney. So this from the Disney Cruise Line blog, who does a great blog on Disney Cruise Line, but this actually doesn't have anything to do with Disney Cruise Line. Essentially, it's a different company. It's Adventures by Disney. They announced this week that their first ever expedition cruises to Antarctica and the Galapagos Islands are coming, offering families a unique way to explore some of the world's most fascinating ecological wonders. Similar to the Adventures by Disney River Cruises, Disney is partnering with Expedition Cruise Lines for sailings instead of one of the Disney Cruise Line ships. So really cool and interesting places, and a way to kind of, one thing about going on some of these trips, if you ever want to go there and you're bringing on some, younger ones with you, how will they get bored, when they enjoy it? Well, Adventures by Disney does a great job of, including things, doing things, having excursions, having naturalists there to kind of bring in the little ones and have them enjoy this trip that maybe you've always wanted to go on.
Right. I mean, Adventures by Disney has been out there for a while. They've done a lot of great things of tagging along with cruises for people who are going on a vacation, and kind of, either at the beginning or tail end of the vacation, adding on some of their activities. And so seeing it expand to some really unique destinations is exciting.
Yeah, there's been a couple of trips. We've never done an Adventures by Disney trip to this point, but there's been a couple things that I've considered us trying to look into doing at some point. So we may do that at some point. And these, especially the Antarctica one, totally is interesting to me. So here's the details on the Antarctica expedition cruise. Adventures by Disney family expedition cruises to the White Continent. This is obviously from the pamphlet. The White Continent of Antarctica are scheduled for 2021 and 2022. They are 2 12-day, 11-night Antarctica and Patagonia expedition cruises that will sail with Ponant, a leader in luxury polar expeditions. The first cruise is December 20th. 2021 through December 31st of 2021. So it's a holiday cruise, but remember that's the summer down there. So know that when you're going in. The second is January 2022 through February 10th of 2022. January 30th of 2022 through February 10th of 2022. What happens is you fly. You get to Buenos Aires is where this starts. And in Argentina, you'll fly to Patagonia, to the resort town of, and I'm going to not say this correctly, Ushuaia. Sure. But then you'll fly there. Then you'll take a scenic train ride and explore the Tierra del Fuego National Park. Wow. Then you'll travel by catamaran through the Beagle Channel and visit the historical settlement of Estancia Haberton. And then after navigating through the Drake Passes, the journey continues in the awe-inspiring landscapes of Antarctica, where each day brings a new adventure. Guests will embark on daily boat excursions and hike along the continent's shorelines, catching glimpses of native wildlife like seabirds, penguins, and seals in their natural habitat. With offshore activities defined by nature, every wildlife viewing will be unique on each sailing. That sounds
amazing.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And one of those places, we got lucky enough to go and have a different cruise, not Disney, a different cruise line, and stop off in Greenland. And it's just one of those rare places that most people never get to visit.
Exactly.
But it's one of the most memorable experiences we've ever had.
Right.
Antarctica would be phenomenal.
Definitely.
I just couldn't imagine what that would be like to go and check that out.
So exciting.
Yeah. As for the Galapagos Islands, they have a 5 9-day, 8-night sailings aboard the boutique expedition ship, the Galapagos Legends. They'll have plenty of excursions led by naturalists, which you would expect for this, so that you can find out all about the archipelago's spectacular vistas, remarkable diversity of plant and animal species, with the possible sightings of albatross, frigate birds, the blue-footed booby, giant tortoise, marine iguana, and the Galapagos penguins, among other things. They say the trip highlights include snorkeling in turquoise waters inhabited by sea lions, reef fish, and sea turtles, hiking across the island's diverse terrain, and paddling in transparent kayaks along some of these sheltered coves. So, very
so
cool.
Great.
Yeah. So the South and East Galapagos itinerary includes excursions to the islands of South Plaza, North Seymour, San Cristobal, Española, Floreana, and Santa Cruz. And those sailings are March 6th, 2022 through March 14th, 2022. July 10th, 2022 through July 18th of 2022, and August 7th of 2022 through August 15th of 2022. And they also have one that is a North and West Galapagos itinerary that has excursions to the islands of Baltra, Genovesa, Santa Cruz, Santa Fe, Mosquera, Santiago, Rabida, and Isabella and Fernandina, and that is December 18th of 2023 through December 26th of 2022. And if you're looking to book these, you can do that through the Adventures by Disney experience there.
Right.
Just look up their page.
Nice.
Early booking is available on January 19th for those who have done an Adventures by Disney thing before. For Disney Vacation Club members, it's January 21st. And for general public, it's on January 22nd. So
That's
really
so
cool
exciting.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and really interesting
Destinations.
trips. Yeah.
Oof.
I would love to go to either one of those,
Right.
but the Antarctic one, I know for you, it's the same thing. The
Yes.
Antarctic one calls out to us.
Yeah, we've actually talked about in the past how if we could do something that could eventually, do an offshoot of another cruise or
sort of South American cruise that happens to go down
around
there.
the Cape.
Right. Yeah. So definitely worth checking out. Finally, just one more quick story for you, and that is we may soon see the return of a very popular Avenger to the Marvel Cinematic Universe fairly soon. This from Deadline.com, who is pretty much nailed a lot of their casting announcements as of recently.
Wow.
So it's still a rumor. So they're
Right.
this is a rumor, but the only reason I'm bringing it up is because Deadline.com has done a really good job with some of their Marvel casting announcement recently. And they said in their story, in a move that is sure to rock the Marvel Cinematic Universe, sources tell Deadline that Chris Evans is cleaning the dust off his Captain America attire and is expected to reprise the role in the MCU in some form again.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
They say it's still vague whether the deal is closed, but insiders say it's headed in that direction for Evans to return as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, in at least one Marvel property, with the door open for a second film. Sources add it's unlikely to be a new Captain America installment and more likely to be like what Robert Downey Jr. did after Iron Man 3, appearing in such films as Captain America Civil War or Spider-Man Homecoming. So kind of appearing in somebody else's film for maybe it's a larger role, maybe it's a smaller role, maybe it's just a cameo, but still, Chris Evans strapping on the shield and the Captain America gear again would be pretty cool.
That is awesome.
I would love for it to be kind of a look back at history, maybe what spoiler for Avengers Endgame, where he goes back into the past to kind of return the stones to their locations, maybe some of that, maybe something with Agent Carter, their life together again. I would love to see that. I'd love to see more from Agent Carter as well. So we'll see what comes of this.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's exciting news that he's going to be returning.
Possibly. Again, it's a rumor, but still interesting stuff. So very cool. That's it for the Disney Stories of the Week. However, we never leave you without some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And we always start with Michelle, one, because she has wonderful lists, but also because she's beautiful, super hardworking, really smart, and she always has the very best tips. So let's get to Michelle's tip of the week.
Oh, thank you. So my tip is, it's not really a large tip, but, something that you may not know. We've talked about PhotoPass in the parks and, having the ability to have that, especially if you get the PhotoPass package added on, that you can have those. But what you might not know is that Disney Studios, Disney Springs, they have a Disney, what do they call it? Disney PhotoPass Studio. And so they have cool backdrops. They have, little props that you could use. So just another way to, experience capturing some really great photos. And again, if you have PhotoPass on it, it's free for you. And so, just another activity that you could do outside of the parks and that will produce some lasting memories.
Yes, we've talked about it. We talked about it last week. We were talking about some of the PhotoPass Memory Maker type options. How great it is that, especially if you're not regularly going to the parks, if you only go once a year or maybe once every few years, or maybe this is the one time that you go to the Walt Disney World Resort, trying to capture as many memories as possible from that, and that's a great way to do it. Yeah.
I mean, you might find that you're in the parks and you're doing so much that you don't get a lot of, you don't take a lot of opportunity to get some, special either individual or family photos. And you might be heading over to Disney Springs later in the afternoon or evening. That gives you an option to get some pictures taken.
Great selection. Great choice. Michelle's tip. Always the best tip.
Thank you.
My tip is really quick one this week. And I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you rent a car or drive your own car to the Walt Disney World Resort, you do have to pay for parking when you're staying on property at one of the Disney resorts, unless you're a Disney Vacation Club member who is staying on points.
Right.
However, what you may not know about this is that when you pay for that parking at that Disney resort, that also includes the parking at the Disney parks. So know that you're not paying twice for that, so you might want it when you're trying to do your budget. Don't think that, if we get a car, we have to pay for parking at the resort. Then we're also paying for parking if we drive to the parks or whatever. No, that is included in your price. Yes. Also, if you're staying off-site, maybe you're not paying for parking wherever you're staying off-site, but you will have to pay for parking at the Disney parks. So just one of those things to take into the equation when you're trying to figure out your budget more than anything else. I like to have, just so you know, kind of so you're in the know of these things, what your budget is like. So by the way, if you're staying at the resort and you're going to drive to the parks, all you need to do is just, show them proof that you're staying at a Disney resort. Usually that's a magic band or whatever. And that is what gets you straight into the park. No problems.
Right. Exactly. So no, that's a great tip. And, if you are staying off property and you're scouting out, for example, where to stay, that may be something you put into consideration. One, do they charge parking? Because some more resorts in Central Florida are charging for parking. Here in Southern Cal has always been the case. But some of them don't, and some of them also provide their own transportation to the park. So things that you can research and consider, like you said, with your budget when planning a trip.
Just want you to be covered as much as you can when you're trying to, because these trips can be very expensive. When you're trying to figure it out where your money is going, just so you kind of know where that budget lies. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're doing another deep dive into another fantastic Disney character. I mean, this one's definitely one of our absolute favorites. The original Disney dog, Pluto.
Pluto.
Yes, we love Pluto so very much. And Michelle will bring more of her fantastic research into Mickey's best friend. And just who doesn't love Pluto? I'm sorry, Pluto is the best. Who doesn't love Pluto?
Yeah, talk about having that lovable personality and just adorable pup. And can't wait to research that and share some of the findings.
Yeah, so next week, all about Pluto. We're excited to check that out for sure. So we appreciate that you join us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you would have an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter, which we would love to invite you to do that.
Yes, please sign up for the newsletter. Again, just another way to be part of the Hyperion Adventures podcast community. Another way is to follow us on social media. We're very active on social media and have a lot of fun with a lot of Hyperion adventures, just like you out there. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel. Feel free to check out some of these videos and see where my hair is going this week, and just to see how pretty Michelle is. On our YouTube channel, just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, and we'll come right up. Hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right, and thank you for those of you who have communicated with us this week for this episode. We really appreciate your participation. And we also like to encourage anybody, if you do want to give us a review, it really does help give us some feedback. What do you like about the podcast? And it also, I guess there's algorithms
something
involved.
Like that. Something technical that I don't really understand, which is most things.
But anyways, we do appreciate that feedback.
Yes. So thank you very much for all your feedback. Thanks for all the listener input this week. And thank you for listening to the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.
Bye.